Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Mukesh's Tech Space. If you are new here, I post video tutorials on AWS, Lightsail, and Azure, and other easy to set up and use web hosting tools and services. I also do tips on WordPress, mostly for the beginning developer. So if you are interested in this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel and, most importantly, sharing the video out to others that may also find it useful. This helps the channel grow. So today I will walk you through setting up a Bitnami based WordPress instance on the Lightsail platform. Next, once we have the installation ready, Bitnami always adds a little banner on the bottom right hand side of the WordPress site. So what we'll do is run a command to remove the banner. Next, we'll set up a separate user from the Bitnami user, but it will have the same permissions as the Bitnami user. We'll also set up SSH access for that user. And finally, what we'll do is add any plugins, standard base plugins, themes that we want to be part of our, WordPress installation. And then what we'll do is create a snapshot of the WordPress installation, and then we'll create brand new installs using that snapshot instead of using the default blueprint that comes with AWS Lightsail. Now, the benefits of doing it this way is that if you are using Lightsail as a hosting platform for clients, or even if you're using this for your own development projects, you don't have to start from scratch of starting up a WordPress install, then getting rid of the banner, and then setting up users, setting up your default plugins and themes. You could just set up the instance from the snapshot and everything is ready to go for you. And this will speed up your development. It will quickly get you started with this configuration. Adding the new user is important if you plan to share the access to the WordPress instance to, let's say, a development team or other teammates that need access to the environment. And you don't necessarily want to share your Bitnami credentials, as that is the main Bitnami user for your entire install. I'm going to show you and walk you through that process. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's start by creating our instance. Select your blueprint. This should be WordPress. I think this plan will also work for WordPress multi-site, but in our video we'll just carry on with WordPress as a standalone. In your instance plan, let's select the smallest instance plan, because when we make a snapshot from an instance, the new instance based on that snapshot has to be either equal or higher. It cannot be lower. So you don't want to pick anything higher than the lowest one, so that when you do create new instances, you could go up but don't have to go down because you are on the most bottom or the smallest plan already. So select the first month free $3.50 instance plan. Give your instance a name and then click on Create Instance. Okay, so we have our instance created. Now keep in mind, you really don't need to set up a static IP address for this instance. We're only using this to create a snapshot, and then any future snapshots or any new instances in the future that you create with the snapshot, you can assign static IPs to them. So go ahead and click on the SSH. And within here, what we'll start to do is first remove the the Bitnami banner that gets installed. If most of you have not seen this, if you just go to the website, you'll see that this banner down here gets added to all WordPress instances from Bitnami. So we just want to get rid of that. So you want to come back to your SSH window and run this command. And once that is done, if we go back to our WordPress site, we'll see that that banner is gone. One step is done. Second step is we'll create a new user based on the Bitnami user. So let's say that you want to create a user for your developer. So to create a new user as an alias to the Bitnami user. All right, our user has been added. Now we'll need to make the necessary directories, home directory, and then copy over the necessary files for us to set up SSH access for this user. So let's type in sudo directory developer1, and that's the name. As you noticed, when I did the add user, I used developer1 as our username. So make directory developer1. Then we'll copy Bitnami over to developer1. We'll also copy our C file, developer1, and we'll copy .profile over to developer. So once this is done, we'll need to create our SSH keys, our public and private keys for developer1 so that we can allow them to log into the server using SSH. So to do that, if you're on Windows, you'll use PuTTy. If you're on Mac or Unix, you might want to find out the commands, or I'll paste those into the description below on the process to do that if you're on a Mac or a Linux machine. So click on Generate and PuTTy. So what we're going to do is take the public key right here. We're going to copy this entire string, and we're going to go into home developer1.ssh, and then in the authorized keys file, we will paste the public key. And here, paste, and we're going to quit out of the file, save and quit out of the file. Then the next thing we're going to do is save our, coming back into the PuTTy window, we're going to save our private key. And here we'll call it Bitnami WP key. Save that. Okay, so we're done with this for now. Now what we'll do is run another command to give our new user all the privileges, the same privileges as the Bitnami privileges. And there's a group called Bitnami admins that will add this user to. So paste this command, which adds the developer1 user over to Bitnami admins. Okay, and we should all be set up. So now what we can use is we can use PuTTy to see if our new user can SSH in, get our IP address, paste the IP address inside the PuTTy configuration window, and then for authentication, pick the private key that we saved. So this is the Bitnami WP key. Open that, and at this point you should hit open, say yes, and then you'll have a prompt that says login as, and so we'll say developer1 There we go. So now we're logged in as developer 1. You can give this private key over to your developer, and they can SSH in and do their work on your server, on your website project. Now, when you are done with that and you want to take away their access, all you have to do is run this additional command to delete the entire user main window. So if you run this command, user developer is currently used by process. Okay, so we actually have to log out. And there we go. And if you want to confirm if the user was deleted, you just have to say ID developer1, which is your username, and no such user. So now you have removed the user, and that developer1 cannot log in anymore. Okay, so now we have our Bitnami banner removed. We've created a developer account. We showed you how to do that, and also remove the account once the user is done with their project. You can delete the user as well. So we showed you how to do that. Now the final step is let's go ahead and add a few plugins that we think are our base plugins that all of our WordPress sites should have, and then we'll create the snapshot. So let's get our Bitnami application password. Then we will log into the WP admin. And then within the admin, let's say we want to add a theme that we always use for our WordPress sites. I guess we could say Astra. It's a good theme. Let's install, and we'll activate it as well. Maybe we go over to the plugins and we say, you know what, we don't need the Akismet. We don't need Hello Dolly. We have our own tagging plugin, so we don't need that. Let's say we don't need Jetpack, so let's delete this. And what else? Let's say we already have our SEO plugin, so we don't need all-in-one SEO. We use a different one. We don't need a migration plugin. So as you can see here, we're configuring this version of WordPress to the way we would set up a WordPress site for ourselves. And this could be different for you. You may use these plugins or you may not. You may use different ones. Just so go ahead and set up your site the way you want it for all of your WordPress sites that you build. Then once you're done with that, we'll come over here to our WordPress instance and we'll create a snapshot. And we can say WordPress, give it a good name like base WP snapshot. Go ahead and create the snapshot. And that usually will take anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, our snapshot is ready. So what you can do now is keep this as your base snapshot image of the configured WordPress site that you built. Every now and then you may want to create a new instance from this snapshot, again the lowest instance, open up WordPress, update all the plugins or update WordPress itself, and then create another snapshot out of that. That way you continue to update your snapshot with the latest version of plugins, WordPress, and things like that. So you can kind of continue that pattern to keep your snapshot fresh and not have to do things like upgrade your WordPress version or plugins every time you create new instances from this old snapshot. If you wanted to create a brand new WordPress site for your next project, you would come over into Snapshots. You'll see that there's a snapshot right here. You'll open that, click on the ellipses menu, and then create a new instance. And then you can see that the snapshot, or the source for this instance will be the snapshot that we just created. You can pick now, either leave it as the default base instance plan or go up from here. And then give your instance a name and create the instance. So now our second instance is now going to be based off of the first instance where we made all those configuration changes, removed the Bitnami banner, we created a developer account, we also removed some plugins that we don't need, maybe we added some more plugins and themes, and all of that will now be built out of the box on the second instance, so you don't have to do that over and over again. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to show you. So for the snapshots, you can also copy a snapshot to another region. So if you created a snapshot in one region, you can move it to another region and then create an instance of the a snapshot from that region. So that capability is also there for snapshots. And then I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to show you. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll try my best to answer them. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel if you like these type of videos. Until the next video, take care.